We are not live. We are live now. Good morning, everyone. This is BizChicks TV. This is the place to find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today is the day that we talk about happy, healthy habits with Robin Shimizu and friends. Robin is not in the studio today, but her wonderful guest, Dr. Rogers, is here, and we are so excited to have her. You know, Dr. Rogers has a background in psychology. I want you to know that she is so popular that she is not even taking patients right now, but she is taking patients with us and stopping by
Yes,
to
indeed.
help us today. So today, thank you so much, Robin, for booking this fabulous guest. And we're going to talk about a happy, healthy habit. How are you doing today, Dr. Rogers?
I am doing well, thank you. It's always such a joy to be with you. I miss Robin, but I'm so glad to see your face and to be with you today, Miss Terry.
You know, God is good. My grandmother used to say it's a blessing to be able.
Yes, yes.
Yes, it's just
Mhm.
full of wisdom. But so, what is our topic today?
So, our topic for today is sharing the wisdom. And it's funny that you quoted your grandmother because as soon as you told me what your grandmother said, my grandmother said this is something that came to me every morning when she would wake up. She would say, "Thank you, Lord, for another day of life." That's how she started every single day. It wasn't it wasn't time to get ready for the day if you didn't thank the Lord for blessing you to see another one.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
can remember people saying, "Thank you for the activity of my limbs." You know, when you're
Mm.
young, you just don't know what the heck they're talking about.
Yes. Yes.
And what, for waking me up in my right mind, right? They would say,
Mhm, mhm. Yep. In the
with the
land of the
activity
living.
of my limbs. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Wow. I never thought of that as wisdom, but
Mhm.
it is a blessing to be able, and it is a blessing to greet the day.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I also think that wisdom shows how naturally our mothers, grandmothers, and their mothers and grandmothers before them practiced mindfulness, right? Just by noticing that they had the ability to use their limbs, right? Things that
Mm-hmm.
we normally take for granted. Mindfulness is really just about living with your eyes wide open and having
Ah,
awareness. So, just having the awareness that you are in the land of the living, that you are breathing, that you are able to move your limbs, that's awareness and that's mindfulness. I always
ah.
like to tell people that mindfulness doesn't have to be complicated. The simpler it is, the better, right? And so, what I wanted to talk about today was, using the wisdom of our mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers and back and back and back to help us
Wow.
get through daily life.
This is going to be exciting because I'm always quoting my grandmother, Dr. Rogers.
What are some of your favorite ones?
What or what?
What are some of your favorite quotes?
Oh my gosh. My grandmother used to say, "Don't let your education exceed your intelligence." And she went to the fourth grade, but she had a lot of what she called horse sense. The other thing
Ah,
she was, yeah, a lot of horse sense. She would
mm.
say to me, Terry, get somewhere and sit down.
Oh,
Get
your
somewhere
grandmother
and
said that too? My
yes, and I say that all the time. To me, it's a whole way of life. Just get
Yes.
somewhere and get still.
Yes. Yes. We're practicing this stuff before it became, popular and mainstream media, right?
And
Just
labeled, yeah. Just
yes, yes, yes. My grandmother, that same thing. She would say, "Get somewhere, Shakanda, get somewhere and sit down." I used to just I used to be really dismissive of that. But as I've
mhm.
gotten older, I've realized the importance of slowing down, getting still, and resting my body. And so
Mm.
when I'm doing that, it's, it's self-care for me, but it's also honoring the wisdom that she imparted into me, right? So these are the ways that we can get through our daily lives, and especially difficult times. It's been a really, really difficult, what is this, 16, 17, 18 months now that we've been,
Yes, it's going on 2 years
navigating,
now.
yeah, going through this pandemic. And so one thing that has been helpful for me is, drawing upon the wisdom of, those who came before me, and asking for their guidance and their support, especially when times get hard. And it's amazing what happens when you open your heart, the kind of wisdom that floods in. And
Yes.
so um, I actually taught a class on this past Saturday, and in my mindfulness class that we do. And so one of the questions was, well, how do we get in touch with that wisdom of people who came before us? And so we just talked about ways of doing that in your mindfulness practice. And it can be something as simple as having items of your loved ones that connect with you and that speak to your heart, and maybe placing them before you when you sit down to meditate.
Mm.
So I have a couple of items here that I'll show you that
Okay.
I use when I sit down in my little meditation space. So here's a small lovely picture of my grandmother, Miss Hester. And on the other side, can't really see it, but this
I,
is a picture of her home in
mm.
the country. And this place brings me so much peace. I can just look at it. You can't really see it, but she's actually sitting on the porch
On
in
the
the,
porch. We
yeah,
spent time on the porch, didn't we?
yes, yes. Whenever I would go to her house, we could sit on the porch at the beginning of the morning drinking a cup of coffee, and we could still be on the porch at night hearing the crickets and seeing the lightning bugs flying around. So um, it's a picture of my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I just have a little candle that I light for
Mm.
them, in their memory. And then I just little keepsake box here with a few mementos that are special for me. So I have something that was on my mom's desk at work.
Mm-hmm.
And then in here, it's just a few pieces of paper, but I've been tracing back lineage. And so I've been able to trace back all the way to my great, 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 great grandmother, Harriet, who was born
Oh,
in
okay.
1815. And so I just, try to honor their memory and allow their memory to still have presence in my life, and, spend some time reflecting on, what's happening in my life, the things that are wonderful and exciting, and then also the things that are hard, and asking for their wisdom to support me. And so I think it's, really important that we create space for honoring those who came before us as we move through our present day lives.
Wow. Doctor, when you started saying great, 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 I realized I knew all those people in my life. I guess because I am the generation before you. So,
Mm,
you know
mhm.
what I mean? So I knew my great grandmother who
Yes.
was an emancipated slave. And
Mm,
then and then
mhm,
she died when I was like 11. So I knew her and I cared for her.
mhm,
Um, and then my grandmother, and then
mhm,
my mother, and now
mhm.
me. So my grandchildren now will know 4 generations, but
Yes,
have I really sat down and shared who these people were and what they were about? I haven't
yes,
done that, and I need to do
yes.
that.
Yes, indeed,
I
indeed,
need to
because
do that.
that is how we keep our history alive, you know?
Mhm, that oral
So
history.
yes, sharing those stories is so important. I do that even now with my little ones who are 6 and 9. And
Mhm.
right now, kind of dismissive of it sometimes because I'm from Alabama. So I have a lot of country phrases. And so when I
Yes, my
use them,
grandmother was from Alabama. Yeah.
we're not from the country. We're not from the 1980s, which they think is like,
100
centuries.
years ago.
But it's the way that I, keep my Southern heritage alive, and I keep them alive really through, the phrases I use and how I talk to them. And I try to share as many stories as I remember so that they will
Mhm.
know those family members too.
I think too, it lets it reminds us that we didn't get here on our own, that we're standing on the
Yes,
shoulders of those who went
yes,
before us.
yes.
And when I share with people how my grandmother, who was one of 18 children, because
Mhm.
that's how my great grandmother became emancipated, um,
Oh,
cut railroad ties and chop cotton. These are women,
yes,
okay, in
yes.
Alabama. Because yeah,
Mhm.
um, I think their eyes just like, what are you talking about? What is a railroad tie? First of all, we'd have to go down and take a
Yeah,
walk on some railroad tracks to
absolutely.
explain just how much um, was sacrificed for them.
Yes. And think about the strength that they had to be able to do that, and the strength and resilience they had to survive during those difficult times,
Mhm.
right? If you think
Yes.
about their strength, then you know that their strength is in you. And so, the joys we have, the sorrows we have, the strength we have, that all comes from somewhere, right? And
Mhm.
so just being able to think about their lives and, their sacrifice and how they were able to overcome, reminds us that we have those in us too. We may not always realize it. We might not
Mhm.
always be consciously aware of it. We may not always tap into it, but I think if we spend more time thinking about our mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, great grandfathers, all the people that came before us, we recognize that we still have in us everything that was in them.
Mhm. Now, the wisdom. Do you recall the phrase "pretty is as pretty does"? Did you
Heard
ever hear
that,
that
yes.
phrase?
Mhm.
All of these things make up our character, whether we realize it or not. And when you said you made mindfulness sound so uncomplicated, you said it's just being aware,
That's it.
being aware of what people have poured into us and passing that
Mhm.
on so that it benefits others.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. Absolutely. It actually makes me think of this practice in mindfulness called dedicating the merit. And what that really means is any benefit that you have gained from your mindfulness practice, let that not only be of benefit to yourself, but to all beings, right? So this is about whatever I'm learning, however I'm being wise, allow me to be wise in my interactions with other people, right? And
Yeah.
so what I have gotten will then transfer to you because of how I'm showing up in the world.
Wow. Which is a way of sharing the wisdom, right?
Mhm.
I know a lot of times I will say phrases and my girlfriend says, I never heard that. What are you talking about? Because it's so much a part of my vocabulary and my how I think,
Mhm.
that it just comes out.
Yep. Yep.
And especially get somewhere and sit down. I'd say to myself, Terry,
Mhm.
you need to just get somewhere and just
Yes.
be still. Sit
Yes.
down. So
Yes.
Mark's here with us this morning, and he's saying when your consciousness expands, it expands the consciousness of the world.
That is
Oh,
so true.
thank
It's
you,
so,
Mark.
so true. Right?
Yeah.
Because think about it. We are all part of the fabric of humanity, right? And
Mm,
so as we heal ourselves individually, it can't help but have a ripple effect of those around us. So as we heal our families, we heal our communities. Think about think about the concept of hate, right? So if you're rooted in hate and that is what you're spewing out, think
mm-hmm,
about the chaos and the disruption that sows around you, right? It's the
mm-hmm.
same with love. And so, if you're rooted in love, if you're rooted in compassion, if you're rooted in expanding your consciousness, that can't help but have a healing effect on your immediate circle and beyond, right? I think
Yes.
that when it comes to, people who are doing social justice and activism work, like love can show up in many, many ways,
Mm, mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
It can show up in tending to our children and tending to our families. It can show up, as a teacher in the classroom who is pouring love in her students, right? It can be a someone in the grocery store who is checking your groceries, but they offer you some kindness as you're checking out, and it
Mm.
just brightens your day a little bit. It can be in big ways and it can be in small ways, but they're all so significant and powerful.
Well, our resident comedian is here, Mark. He says, I'm rooted in love and caffeine. Smile.
Just have water this morning,
Yes.
but lemon
Well,
caffeine that works too.
something, some of us are so distracted that we cannot even receive wisdom or receive the love of others. Um, and I was discussing this the other day where I attempted to pay for someone's groceries and they were adamant they weren't having it. They were not
Mhm.
having it. They couldn't receive it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I think that's something we need to talk about in terms of being mindful.
Mhm.
Can you address that? Why are some people unable to receive? Because look, my Cash App is no.
Miss Terry, I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Hmm.
Um, so since I'm a therapist and I'm in a helping profession, one of the jokes that we have about helping professionals is that we are wonderful when it comes to offering help and support, but we're not so good at receiving it. Right? So we're caretakers, but we don't necessarily always allow ourselves to receive care. That was a message that my one of my ancestors, one of my former men who's passed away, who shared with me, and he just said it so simple. He said, "Shakanda, you're not very good at taking nourishment."
Is that what he's?
And I was like, he said, I'm trying to offer you care and you're rejecting it. And I thought,
Mm,
oh, yes, I do reject care.
mm,
So I think it has a number of things. Maybe people feel like they have to be independent.
mm.
Maybe people don't want to acknowledge that they need help because they don't want to feel vulnerable. Sometimes people have guilt and shame
Uh-huh.
around allowing other people to help them. And so, maybe it's part of their identity that they have to be sufficient. So it could be all kinds of things.
Okay. So Mark has a comment here. He says, if you do not receive, you're preventing another's opportunity to give.
Yes,
It took me
yes,
years to understand that being willing to be vulnerable so that another can shine.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, you were speaking wisdom today. It makes me think about this idea of generosity.
Mm,
So
mm-hmm.
being generous of heart, giving to others, but also allowing other people to be generous toward. So generosity goes both ways. And I think that too is something that we don't spend a lot of time talking about, how important
Wow.
generosity
Wow. Given it shall be given. Yes.
is.
And I think here's the deal. We are taught generosity from such an early age. Do you have enough for everyone? Are you
Mhm.
going to share with your siblings? Did you
Yeah.
think about Aunt so and so for Christmas? Constantly being reminded to
Mhm.
be a giver, to be
Yeah.
generous and think of others. And
Mhm.
sometimes we do so to a fault. I think it is so ingrained in our DNA that we put others ahead of us all the time, which is
Yeah.
why I always remind people at the end of the show to remember to go to the front of your own line. If you're not there, you
Mhm.
can't care.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh, that got me right here. Yes, Miss Terry, that's good. Yeah, if
You
you're
know what I mean?
not
I mean, if you don't show up, those people are
Mhm.
not going to get the love and the care that you wanted to give to them, or receive what it is you're working so hard to give them, because you're not going to
Yeah,
be around to give it to them.
absolutely.
So if
That's a
you're
really
not there, you can't care.
yes, and I think, in recent years, people have started to understand the importance of self-care, but I know that, generationally speaking, I think about my grandmother. She spent so much time caring for other people. But you cannot, what do they say? You can't pour from an empty cup. So
Yes,
you
Mark
have
Mark
to
says that right here. You have to fill the pitcher
absolutely.
first
Yep.
before you can pour some water from it
Yes,
for another.
absolutely. Yeah, and it's that whole metaphor of being on the airplane, right? And when
Yes.
the masks come down, you have to put your mask on first before you can help another person, right?
Mhm.
So it is so critical that people pour back into themselves, find ways of nourishing your heart and your body and your spirit so that you can show up and be present for and be available to others in whatever way you need to be.
Exactly. And to do it in a way that is not self-destructive.
Correct.
Self-medication, cigarettes, alcohol, other destructive habits, you
Mhm.
won't be around for the people that you love, and then, or you could increase the burden on those people
Mhm.
unconsciously as a
Yeah.
result of your trying to be superwoman. Come on,
Yes.
people.
Mhm.
Superman,
Take
come
the
on.
cape off. It's okay to put the cape up.
Take the cape
It
off. We talk
Mhm.
about this a lot
Mhm.
on Biz Chicks, because you can have it all, but you can't have it all at once.
Correct. Yes.
The plate will only hold so much,
Yep.
but what the plate does hold is all the wisdom that went before you.
Mhm.
And Dr. Rogers, what I hear you saying, I think, is we need to tap into that wisdom, acknowledge it, receive it, honor it.
Yes.
No, not worship it, but honor it
Yes, yes.
and
Create
pass it
space
on.
for it. Yes. Allow it to be present in your life so that you can then impart that same wisdom to other people.
Well, Dr. Rogers, let me ask you this. Do you have anything coming up, or how do we get in touch with you? I have, hold on here. I'm going to put your information in the chat so that people will know how to get in touch with you. And you want to
Okay.
tell them a little bit about what services you offer, what you have available, because I noticed that you didn't have any slots
Yes,
available.
I was going to say, so my practice is actually full, but I will say, generally speaking, I am in private practice and well, I'm doing telehealth now, but before telehealth,
Mm.
I was actually in an office. My office is in the Pocket area, and I see teens and I see adults, couples, families, talking about all kinds of challenges, whether it's depression, anxiety, trauma, loss, relationship problems. I love the work that I do. I feel so honored to be able to walk with people through difficult times and then celebrate with them when they get to the sunshine. So I love this work. And then in addition to the private practice work that I do, I also run a monthly mindfulness group for African American women. It's called Melanin Meets Mindfulness. and we meet on Zoom the first Saturday of every month. So if people are interested in that, you can find me there at melaninmeetsmindfulness.com.
Okay. So if you put that in the chat, we'll make
Oh,
sure
yes.
that it goes into the comments. We are so excited when Dr. Rogers comes by. Her time is so precious. And I strongly recommend that you join her Facebook group. It is a Facebook group. Am I correct? Oh,
Which
no,
one?
it's a Zoom meeting, right? My
Yes.
Melon.
Melanin Meets Mindfulness meets via Zoom. But
Okay.
outside of doing that work, I usually post on my Instagram page. It used to be daily before I turned into a distance learning teacher for my little ones,
Okay.
where I would just post, a little snippet about mindfulness to think about each day.
Hmm.
So my
Okay.
plan is to return to doing that more regularly.
So now on Instagram, what is
Mhm.
your name? Is it Melon?
Melanin Meets Mindfulness.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if you're looking for on Instagram, you want to go there. Okay. We want to thank you again, Doc. We just love you. And we just
Love you
appreciate
guys too.
all that you do. And we celebrate you. We celebrate the wisdom that has been poured into you and the fact that are helping us to recognize what's been poured into us. Lord Mark says, thank you, Dr. Rogers. Thank you, Carolina, and happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, Mark. We love you
Thank
too.
you, Mark.
Yes, and all of you guys watching today, we want to thank you for tuning in. And for those of you who will be watching on the replay, we want to remind you to go to the front of your own line. Tomorrow we'll be talking tech and English with the Tech Divas. Come on in, find out some new things that'll help you run a profitable business that's fun to run. Because at BizChicks, we do not like convoluted crap. We want to break it down so that you can understand it and you can ask questions, and we will explain it in a way that you can apply it. So with that, we want to thank you again. And remember, go to the front of your own line. Thank you again, Dr. Rogers. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
Have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.